huge into trading cards myself, so
Sweet.
very excited to do this show. Let's kick it off with our intro.
This is Fantasy Intervention. Now here to intervene with your fantasy life, Chase Vernon.
What's going on, guys? Welcome on into yes, that's right, another episode of Fantasy Intervention. Get excited because we have in here a very, very special guest that I'm very excited to announce. We've got in the house Blake Jamieson from Topps. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Great, man. Living the dream. How are you?
Doing very well. Just hanging out for the most part. Trying to get over the Super Bowl hangover. Crazy fun time last night.
Yeah. Where'd you watch it?
I actually went over to a buddy's house, and it was kind of crazy because we were supposed to do a halftime show at the house, and I brought all my equipment and everything. Unfortunately, the internet couldn't really hold it, but ended up getting wasted instead, and it was a blast. So, who were you actually taking to that game, man?
Oh man, I was going for the Bucks.
Were you?
Yeah, I spent some of my childhood living in Florida and went to a couple of Bucks games, so I'm like a Bucks and Niners fan. Although really, I'm a fan of every team. Because I worked with so many athletes. It's hard to hold a grudge against somebody when they're a client of mine,
What do you mean by client?
Well, my focus for my art business is portraits of professional athletes. And so I've painted portraits for about 350 current NFL players, including every single team. So let's see. On the Chiefs, I had done Travis Kelce and Kalichi Osemele, who's injured and didn't get to play in the Super Bowl. Yep. And then, who have I done actually on Tampa? I had done Adam Humphries when he was on Tampa, but I'm not sure if I've done any current Tampa players.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of Jameis Winston, actually, going back. I loved his style and how he played. Unfortunately, that resulted in a lot of interceptions, but for fantasy football, that's something we want to see, is just, numbers on numbers on numbers. So
right. High ceiling. Yeah,
absolutely. So, sitting there and looking at the Super Bowl, man, was there anything that really stood out to you? Any kind of play, any kind of player, anything that
Yeah, I think the pressure on Mahomes was crazy, but he still got off. Two come to mind, just amazing throws where he was completely being tackled, laid out, all tied up, and he still gets it where it needs to be. Honestly, I wanted to see a close game. I wanted the Bucks to win, but I wanted it to be close and entertaining to the end. So I wish a few of those passes had been caught. I felt like the Chiefs had a lot of stupid penalties and just a lot of drops that they should have caught. And it should have been a closer game than it ended up being.
It was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the drop from Travis Kelce on third down. We had Tyreek Hill get hit in the face. We had Darrell Williams get hit in the face. I mean, it was obnoxious. And honestly, I was kind of glad that by the end of it, I was hammered by that point. So, I was so frustrated for Chiefs fans and for Patrick Mahomes as a whole. I mean, he was playing his heart out, man. That was tough. Sitting there and looking at it, you could sit there and say that they should have ran the ball more. They should have done this. They should have done that. But, it's all said and done. You have to execute the plays. And that's not something that they did. So that was absolutely frustrating.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, we do have a couple players that I want to dive into with, some of the ones that might be a little bit tied to baseball, because that's what you primarily operate in, right?
Well, currently, yes. So I'm working with Topps and creating baseball cards. And so that's been keeping me busy through 2020 and now through 2021. But I mean, I've still painted way more NFL athletes than any other sport, or than every other sport combined, really. That was kind of my bread and butter for a long time.
Oh, that's cool. It's badass. Well, I do want to dive into that. Before we do, I need to give a huge shout out to our sponsor for the show, the Top Loaders. You guys can find them over there on Twitter at loaders_the. Once again, that's at loaderscores_the. They have some phenomenal breaks over there that they do with great prices. You guys can go over there and check them out. They do a break every Monday and Friday at 8:30 in Central Standard Time. So 9:30 East Coast time. Man, I've gotten some excellent breaks with them. In fact, I actually have this card sitting right here with me. It's a Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, signed dual patch auto.
Wow.
Yep, out of 15. So
That's nice.
pretty stoked on this one. Yeah, got the one touch on there. But do they have all sorts of crazy stuff? I mean, I was in there where they got a one-on-one full, what is it called? The emblem jersey pull, where they have the full-on NFL logo. One-on-one for Justin Herbert, autographed. So absolutely incredible. Like, I've seen some crazy pulls come from over there. You guys need to go check them out. It's at loaders_the. So back into getting into the cards and whatnot, and some of the players that were playing in the NFL this past year that could have actually been playing baseball, who you might have been doing cards for essentially. We have like Patrick Mahomes, right? He was a possible baseball prospect. I think he got picked in like the 37th round or something. We sit there, we look at Russell Wilson. He was playing second base. He still plays with the A's, I think, from time to time, doesn't he?
I don't know if he still does, but he got drafted by them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the off season, like for the spring practices and stuff. Yeah, he just messes around.
He still does spring training.
Yeah. And then we have like Kyler Murray. He played outfield. They thought, a lot of people thought that he was actually going to go play baseball.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's like, that was the Kyler Murray thing was like right after Trout had signed his contract. And I mean, that's just, baseball players just get paid so much more money than football players.
Yeah. I mean, especially, and you have elongated careers as well, and you don't have to deal with as many health issues.
Yeah.
But, if you want the stardom, you got to go be an NFL quarterback, right?
That's right.
Is there a player that you thought, that's playing in the NFL now that you really wanted to go see play baseball or would be better at baseball as a whole?
Oh, man, that's a tough question. I mean, I think it would be super fun to watch Russell Wilson play. I really enjoy watching him play football. He's a super talented athlete. And he would be fun to like watch in the flesh play baseball. Man, that's a tough question. I feel like guys like I don't know, maybe he's too big. I'm thinking like DK Metcalf.
Yeah,
he's just like a specimen, man.
He's just the power behind that he can.
Yeah, like if that dude connected with the baseball, it seems like it'd be a home run every time.
Dude, absolutely. I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about, some of these power hitters, maybe some of these tight ends like Hawkinson, who you could just really see some force getting behind. Maybe some of these linebackers like Joey Porter or something like that would have been, just been able to drive some deep balls. And then, you have some speed over there too.
Yeah, get like Cheetah out there, like stealing bases.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
That'd be great.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
So obviously with, the reason why you're here and, what I want to actually talk to you about, why I brought you in was because of the fact that, we have some of these people that would actually be, I guess, fun caricatures to draw of professional athletes over on the baseball side. Like, you could do a Mahomes caricature and just absolutely crush it on a trading card. So is there like a style, because you are the one that's doing all these, these cards, what is it called? The 1951 series?
Yeah. Currently my current set's the 1951 set. And so 1951 was the first year that Topps had an MLB license. And the cards looked kind of like this. They were like little playing cards. And so this is one of the actual 51s. They also have like these rounded corners. And so Topps is now like this year, they're celebrating 70 years of having an MLB license. And so the first set of the year, they had me remix the very first set in baseball that they made. And they're basically throughout the entire year, they're doing kind of paying homage to their history of 70 years with baseball cards. And so that was like a really, really big honor and like a cool thing for me. And now the cards have finally come. And so we have like the same kind of card, but it's current players. So it's Mike Trout. And then we have also some Hall of Fame guys. We got Willie Mays, Duke Snyder. Duke was from the original 1951 set, Babe Ruth. And so it's fun, man. It's hard to explain a feeling of like, so I actually just got these in the mail today.
Oh, that's cool.
These were the first ones that I received. And so, getting cards in your hand that I made is a wild feeling, I grew up collecting baseball cards. So now like making them that, thinking about other kids like growing up collecting them is pretty wild.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I'm stoked for you. Like, that just sounds like so much fun to be able to sit there and look at, your own creation in your hand, being like, dude, I made it. Like, that's sick.
Yeah.
So is there like a certain style that you like to do more for trading cards? Like, what's your favorite style of drawing for the trading card aspect of things?
Yeah, well, so portraits have kind of been my jam since I started painting full time, which has been 6 years now. And so I've always been drawn to portraits. Athletes are so much fun because there's so many amazing photos of them online, of them doing just amazing things with their body that seem impossible. In terms of like the style, I think I would probably define it somewhere between like, I don't know, like graffiti and pop art. So you think like Andy Warhol mixed with Shepard Fairey, which are like, it's cliche because those are two of the most popular artists ever, but like those are huge influences for me. And so we kind of take everything starts with a photograph, and then I am hand cutting a stencil with an X-Acto knife to create several different, usually color layers, to create the portrait essentially. And so we've got almost like a comic book looking, cartoonized kind of character. And it's fun. I think I've learned a lot. So this 1951 set is my second set with Topps. Last year I did Project 2020, where Topps had 20 different artists, each of us doing the same 20 cards. So we had like a Nolan Ryan card that all 20 of us made, a Mark McGwire card that all of us made, and so on. And so like collectors could collect a particular artist, they could collect a particular player, they could collect the whole set. And through that process of doing 20 cards, I definitely have, my style shifted throughout the year. I was first, I'll paint like pretty large scale, and I like to do that because I like my art to make an impact when it's on someone's wall. But when it scales down to like 2.5 by 3.5, we lose a lot of that detail. And so I learned a lot about getting my message across with like fewer lines, fewer brush strokes, and just simplifying things, because once it gets shrunk down super tiny, then it's easier to digest.
Well, the reason why those are so small is because that's how they used to sell gum, right? That's how Topps kind of came into it, was they used to throw those in to sell packs of gum.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I see Cooter Doodle's question. So the mixing art and football, it wasn't my ultimate goal, but my goal was to be a successful artist. And I know successful is a moving target, but I knew that it was important to have a focus. And so my original focus when I first started painting actually was doing art for like tech companies, startups and offices. And that was mainly just because in my previous life, before I was a full-time artist, I worked in like the marketing digital startup space. And so those were just the people that I knew. So I said, okay, I'm going to try and sell art to them. And then on a trip in Las Vegas, I was delivering art to a different client. And I just randomly met this dude who had played in the NFL. Sorry, I live in like
You're good, man. No
we're
worries.
like hardcore New York right now.
That's awesome. Is that where you live? Is New York?
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn.
That's sick.
From California though, but hanging out here for a while, and I enjoy it. So I met this guy. He played in the NFL. His name's Jared Faison. He now represents other athletes, and he really liked my work. And he just thought, like, he suggested that I do a few paintings for free for his clients, and that'll help me kind of get my foot in the door. He would kind of help me make sure that those guys promote me on social media or word of mouth to their teammates and so forth. And so I did it, and it worked exactly like he said. We did a few paintings for free, and I got to deliver those all in person and meet some of the players, which was awesome. And honestly, 2 out of the 3 guys that I first painted, I'm like still very close with today, which is wild.
That's cool.
And then it just kind of like, it went from there. It was just, athletes are the perfect art client because there's a bunch of dope photos online to work from. They have the like income to buy luxury goods like art, and they're super competitive. So when one guy gets a painting, the teammate wants 2 paintings, or the teammate wants a bigger painting. And like, I've seen that happen, more times than I can count. So it wasn't the ultimate goal, but it's definitely, I'm glad that I'm here.
Dude, I absolutely love that, man. Like, just sitting there and hearing like the come up stories are some of my favorite things in the entire world. So, you talked about how you started. How did you end up going with Topps? So Topps reached out to me, and they had seen some of my work that I had done for the Professional Lacrosse League, Premier Lacrosse. I
I did a portrait of Paul Rabel. I grew up playing lacrosse and played in college, and so I was a fan of pro lacrosse. And when Paul and his brother Michael started the PLL, which for those that don't know, lacrosse, there's never really been like a mainstream professional league of lacrosse. There have been a few different leagues. There's the MLL, which is outdoor. There was NLL, which is indoor lacrosse, primarily up in Canada. And so the PLL just wanted to make like a league that was like collegiate lacrosse, and doing things that the MLL hadn't. And it's crazy because now 2 years, they're on their third season, and like they basically acquired the MLL. So now they're like the lacrosse league. So I'd done some work for them, and one of the guys at Topps just happens to be a lacrosse fan. And so he saw the work online and just like filled out a form on my website. And I thought it was fake, to be honest. When he's like, "Hey, my name's Jeff. I work at Topps. We want to do baseball cards with you." I'm like, this is a prank. Cause like I get like, I don't really get before Topps, I didn't get a ton of like website contact forms. And like, usually they were like some kind of spam.
That's awesome. I mean, it's awesome that it was actually legit and not just something, that's crazy out in left field. So, I mean, sitting there and looking at it, like, what exactly are you going to be doing with them? And is this project that you're about to talk about something that's going to be real going, moving forward? Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I think Project 2020 last year was insanely successful. It was a interesting year because for a long time, there was no sports being played. And so people were turning to sports cards to kind of get their fix. And so the sales broke everyone's expectations. And so ever since that happened, Topps has been very proactive in continuing to work with all of the artists involved, me being one of them. And so I have the 1951 set that's out now. It's not out for long. It's only out until Wednesday. And then that's done. But it's cool because it's been selling basically the whole year so far, the last month. And it's done very, very well. And finally now people are like getting them in hand. So that's great. And then as soon as that wraps up at the end of, or I guess, on Wednesday, like a week or two later, my next project with Topps kicks off, which is called Project 70. And that, similar to last year, is like, it's a ton of different artists and we're all making a set together.
How many different artists are there?
So that has 51 artists.
51?
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. And that's because 1951 was the first year of Topps. So they're kind of like, they're doing all this stuff this year that is all kind of playing back to like 1951 to 2021 in the past 70 years of Topps making baseball cards.
Yeah, I was sitting there looking at it. It's like 51 cards, like limited ones, which we're going to talk about here in a second. Yep. So that's cool. I thought it was 20 artists that collabed on the 1951 series, though.
20 artists was for Project 2020.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So, I'm sorry, it's so confusing because there are 3 different projects. So Project 2020 was 20 artists, and I was one of them. And then now that ended at the end of 2020. Now it's 1951, which is a solo set, just myself. Yeah. I did 52 cards. And then launching later this month is Project 70, which is kind of like Project 20 on steroids. So it's 20 cards times 51 artists, which is like, it's like 1,000 card set, which is insane.
Dude, that's mind blowing. So you have all these different projects going on. Like, which one's your favorite? Or do you have a favorite? Which one's your favorite kid?
Oh man, that's tough. I think so Project 2020 last year changed my life, and I made more money than I've ever made from art, which is a really cool feeling to like get paid for what you love.
Yeah. But
more important to me than that is like my art got into exponentially more homes than it had ever been in, so I sold like 160,000, I think, Topps cards, right? And some people bought doubles, right? But people aren't buying hundreds. So people bought a couple, 2 or 3. So like, maybe out of that 160,000 or however many, roughly, I think that's the number of copies sold. Like maybe like half of that, like 80,000 homes have my art. You think about before that, I was primarily just painting one of one originals for these athletes. And like, it took me years to do 350 that I've done. So like maybe my art was in 500 homes before the Project 2020. And now it's in
That's
80,000 homes. So
incredible.
So if I have to pick a favorite kid, that one,
The firstborn.
yeah, I mean, it's the first one. Like, 2020 was such a weird year for everybody, but I'm one of the rare few people that I'm like, 2020 was one of the best years of my life, and I mean that. Like, it was insanely, it was awesome.
I'm somewhat actually right in there with you to an extent. So it's kind of crazy, sitting there and looking at 2020 because I'm a bartender. I've been, opened up a bunch of companies when I was younger and then ended up going into bartending when I hit like 25 or so. So, being a bartender, like we got hit hard.
I did that too. I mean, not last year, but like I also bartended. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Like I was sitting there doing it for 8-10 years or so. And it was sitting there and I was like, man, like this is going to suck. But I already had this company kind of up and rolling to an extent. I was doing like, 6-7 shows a week, just having fun with it. This allowed me to actually turn like what a hobby or an idea was into an actual like business, like,
Yes.
something that can't, isn't generating income yet, but can generate income. So I'm very, very excited for that.
Absolutely.
So 2020 was somewhat of a blessing, although I know it is, unfortunate for a lot of other people. So, which one of the projects that you talked about out of three, we have the 70, the 20, and then the 1951, like which one are these ones are going to expand, and go for a longer period of time? Like is 1951 something that is going to happen again next year, or are they going to try and switch up a different year?
So 1951, I don't think will happen again for a long time. But Project 70 will last all the way until December 31st of this year. And so it's going to kick off very soon in like a week or two. And I mean, the artists, like there's 51 artists. And because, like I said, like Tops was blown away by the success last year. So was I, like, so was everybody. So like this year they have like Snoop Dogg is designing a set.
What?
They just released the list the other day. DJ Ski. I mean, it's some people with some really, really big audiences. And so if we look at last year, Ben Baller was probably the most. It's hard to argue. Like Mr. Cartoon was also there, who was in a Super Bowl commercial yesterday. He was one of the artists in 2020. He's in 70. So he's pretty famous. But like Ben Baller has the biggest audience 2020. Now we have Snoop. And so so I just think like if even just one of Snoop's fans comes into the project because he's involved and then finds my cards because we're in the same set together and likes them and then decides, I want to go and get Blake's older cards. I'm going to get the 1951 set and I'm going to get the Project 2020 cards. Like I have inventory of all those because I'm investing in myself, like buying my own product. And so like, I just think that if we're looking long term, like the trickle down from someone like Snoop being in this project, I think for like me and my personal like paying my rent and like living my life, like that's a really, really good thing for me.
Yeah, business ambitions, of course.
Yeah. And so I mean, Project 70 is going to go the whole year. And I think, it's probably going to do really well. And then they're probably going to keep doing, keep making it bigger. I don't know.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited for you guys, and I'm excited for the brand as a whole because, we sit there and we look at the market for trading cards, and we look at how, it wasn't dying necessarily because I don't think it will ever die, but it wasn't anywhere where, close to where it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the last time they saw a market like this was Pokemon, right? So, it was bigger back when we were little kids and we didn't have social media. We didn't have all these other things. And then nostalgia kicked in for a lot of us sitting at home throughout 2020. We're like, man, I want to get back into this. And before you know it, it blew up again. And honestly, I think this time it's almost here to stay because families were able to spend time with each other.
Yep.
And show their kids these cards and get their kids, on board to start doing it as well. I walked into a card shop the other day and literally the dad was in there and he has a kid probably like 8 years old. And he's like, all right, we're going to get you a box. We're going to get your first pack. And I was like, dude, I remember this. Like, the cardboard box that folds up and that's, I think I got lost. You can still hear me though, right?
I can still hear you. It just says EOS webcam.
Yeah, I'm going to try and switch it out as we go. But
no problem.
No, it's just crazy as to where like, it's taking on like a whole different, I guess, level of possibilities, for something, moving forward. So I'm very excited for you guys. Now, if we sit there and we look at, where was I? Like, collecting yourself, right? Like, when did you start collecting personally?
Well, so I collected as a kid with my dad. Before I could like read or walk, probably. My dad had given me baseball cards, and it's funny because I remember my mom would always give us like crap, and my dad would always be buying more cards for us. And my mom would be like, "Oh, great, more baseball cards." And my dad was so convinced at the time. He's like, "Don't worry, this is going to pay for Blake's college." And like, he was looking at it as this investment and also like a bonding thing. But so I collected with my dad. I think my first memories of like really collecting for myself and myself only was I was probably like 10, which would have been in 95. And so it was like Chicago Bulls just killing it. And me and my friends were on a basketball kick. So like we each collected different players. So like my friend Jace collected Dennis Rodman cards and I collected Michael Jordan cards. I got Jordan because that was awesome. But that's also the one collection. That's not true. I also wish I had my old Magic cards. But I like got rid of those cards, at some point sold them at a garage sale or gave them away or whatever. Those Jordan cards would be sick to have right now.
Yeah, they would. And I actually had some as well, but unfortunately it was a little bit different situation. That's why I don't have them, but that's not what I want to talk about. I love Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was my dude, but I still had to get the Michael Jordan cards, had to.
Yeah.
And I was right there in the same time. And then of course, Allen Iverson's actually from where I'm from. So,
nice.
I'm big fan of Allen Iverson. I had a few of his. I absolutely loved it, man. It was something that I definitely embraced growing up. So that's, cool to know that you collected yourself as well. Mm-hmm. So looking at that collection, was there a certain type that you gravitate towards outside of your own brand? Like, I'm a huge fan of Spectra, for example, for the football side of things.
Okay.
I know that Spectra is not that popular. It's, a thicker card, normally it's frowned upon, across like different collectors, but essentially, that's where I was. Did you have a certain brand or anything that you really gravitated towards that you loved, that you try to go out and find cards in that brand?
I can't really remember, like as a kid, I don't think I was really brand. I would like go there with my allowance to the card store and buy whatever I could afford.
Yep.
But now, Project 2020 got me back into cards. And then fortunately, like the hobby is.
Oh, I don't know if we lost him or what's going on. We'll give it a few seconds. Oh, you there? Oh, can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you. We're back.
I don't know. You're frozen. I might be out. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry.
We're good.
Yeah, my computer, I think my like power just surged or something.
So the last thing we heard was your whatever you had money for, you go and buy.
Yeah.
And then you start out your platform.
Like specific, exactly. But more recently, with Project 2020 kicking off, it really got me back into cards. And I was very open with my fans that like I wasn't following current baseball because I was really focused on football, to be honest. I wasn't following baseball, but I collected cards growing up and I wanted to get back into it. And so people just started sending me like really insane, really nice fan mail. And actually, so today's Monday and it's in 3 hours at 10:23. I have a YouTube live and it's like Mail Monday. And I literally open fan mail on Mondays. And it's crazy because people will like send me like really cool stuff. Partially just so that like I open it online and I show people and then I like give them a shout out.
Okay.
It's wild. But anyways, people are so generous. So like my collection now is bigger than it's ever been. And also like I'll do trades with people. So I'll have, I'll sell autograph versions of my own cards and they're not cheap. And some people, some people prefer to trade over buy, which I appreciate the barter system. And so like, people will be like, oh, I have this, so Donovan Mitchell rookie card I'll trade for you for like one of your autograph cards. And I look at it, I'm like, okay, well that autograph card, like the card cost me $6. The autograph took me 30 seconds. Like I'm getting a card with a couple $100 and then I'll make trades like that and I'll build my collection. And like my collection is sick.
What's your favorite one?
Oh man, my favorite card. That's tough.
Obviously I showed off mine from, the break that I had with Top Loaders.
Yeah.
That Joe Burrow one. Oh.
Man, what's my favorite card? I have I PC Josh Jacobs from the Raiders.
Okay.
Really like him. He has a few of my paintings. and I think he's got a ton of potential. I have a rookie patch from him in college. Was that Auburn? I think it was Auburn. But I have like a rookie patch from him in college that's pretty cool. I've got like some nice like graded PSA cards. I'm a big Mark McGwire guy, and so like I can get an obscure Mark McGwire card that most people don't care about, and I'm like so excited, just pumped. So
I've got that with Colin Johnson from the Jaguars. I don't know why. I just locked on to Colin Johnson, and nobody even cares about him. And I saw a one-on-one, of Colin Johnson. I'm offering the guy like $100 for it. He's like, "No, you got to give me more." I'm like, "Dude, the card's worth like $20. Like, you can literally buy it anywhere because Colin Johnson's a late like 6th round rookie or whatever." So it's kind of funny, how you do lock into these PCs or personal collections, as for those people that don't know.
Yeah,
but
so I collect like Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, John Morant, Mark McGwire. That pretty much covers it. I have like a pretty big like Oakland A's collection in general, but I'm growing up.
Do you have like anybody that's might be a little bit smaller, like the Colin Johnson types you collect?
I mean, he's not small. Like I actually also collect Miles Sanders. I started at the same time as Josh Jacobs. They were kind of my two hot prospects last year when they were rookie, or well, I guess now 2 years ago when they were rookies. And also, so like anytime, and just for context, so people kind of know why I'm fans of those guys. Every single year that there's a new NFL draft and new people enter the league, I reach out to every single player, and it's personal outreach. And I'll say, "Hey, Josh, great to meet you. Welcome. Congratulations on getting drafted. If you ever want a painting, I'm your guy." And then I'll send him a few paintings that are relevant to like usually. Yeah. It's either people on the same team or it's people that play the same position, or if I don't have either of those or that's not relevant, then I'll just give them like the studs, and say, "Look, I painted for Drew Brees, I painted for Zion, I painted for, and basically name drop." And like with those young guys coming into the league, they're a rookie, they just got drafted, they get their first check, they're like, "Yeah," and like Josh was a great example. He's like, "Yeah, I want a painting." All right, so did a painting of him. And he saw it, and like I didn't even ship it yet, and he's like, "I want another one." I'm like, "Okay, what do you want?" "I want a Michael Jordan painting." And I finished that. He's like, "I want another one." And like literally, I painted him, and then Michael Jordan, and then Russell Westbrook. So he's a big basketball guy, big basketball fan, and so like cool. Then I shipped him those 3 paintings. And so anyway, so then I'm like, "Oh man, Josh is like invested in my career. Like I'm gonna collect his cards." And similar thing with Miles Sanders. I hit him up, said, "Hey, welcome to the league. If you ever want a painting, I'm your guy." I just did a painting of I had just done Nick Foles, like when they had won the Super Bowl, and had done a few other of his teammates. So just sent him that, and like he bought like 5 or 6 paintings.
How big are these paintings we're talking? Like, are they like 20 feet tall? Like, by
no. So you can see back here.
Yeah.
This is on the very big side.
Okay, yeah, I figured that.
It's kind of in the middle, like these ones. This is like the most average size. It's usually like think like a movie poster.
Okay.
It's like a movie poster size, or slightly bigger than that.
I just want to know how big, their heads were when they want to pick their paintings of themselves. Like I want one that's, life size, like bigger than that.
The Drew Brees one was really big, but that was actually for an auction, and he signed it, and then we like auctioned it off together.
That's badass.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the guys want big stuff, but you'd be surprised how, they make good money, but their careers are not super long, so they need to be financially conscious. And like, a lot of them are very more cautious than I would expect for the price point, where I'm at. My work's not cheap, but it's not crazy. It's not a Rolex.
Yeah,
it's not crazy.
No, I hear you, man. You're still one of the best in the business, obviously. And, I've done a bunch of research after actually Evan, who's on our team over there at Fantasy Intervention. He's one that linked us up. So I had to go in and I had to do a lot of research because I'm actually, not huge into baseball myself. Sure. But, I respected all your work. And I was like, dude, this guy's actually done a lot of big things. Wrote a bunch of articles up on you. And I was actually very impressed. So, you do have that higher end, value pieces. But, the big thing like we were talking about right now that you're doing and what you're promoting is the 1951. So I want to talk a little bit about that real quick and kind of dive into what you're doing over there, because what people don't realize is when they open up a deck of cards, essentially you're going to get some base pieces, right? Which are just unlimited amount. They made probably thousands and thousands of them. It's pretty much like, just there to, make the pack look thicker essentially. And then you have your fillers, which are a little bit more rare to an extent, but it's a filler. It's what it is. And those are going to be, like little gimmicky type cards. But then you have what you're called a parallel, right? Which is essentially a numbered card. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
So you have a parallel, and you're sitting there, and I'm looking at, some of your parallels and what you have going on. And I had a few questions for you about this because I wasn't really sure how this worked out. Like, we have a blue back, which is numbered out of 51. We have a green back, which is numbered out of 25. We have a black and white player photo, which is numbered out of 10. We have a wrapper back, which is out of 5. And then we have a gold back, which is out of 1. You only make one of those, period, the end. So first off, do you have any of your own cards that are 1 out of 1?
Not from the 1951 set.
Okay.
I do from Project 2020. Those had 1 of 1 inserts, and I only pulled one of them, but the other ones, a couple of them I bought on eBay and had to pay a pretty penny for, and then some of them I traded art for. So usually if someone pulls a 1 of 1, I will reach out to them and tell them, like, I will give you an original, like a painting of anything you want. And so they could say, paint my dog, or they could say, paint Michael Jordan. And that usually does pretty well. The retail price on like the size of painting that I'm usually trading is 18 by 24. And like, I sell those for $2,500. And so if someone opens a pack of cards, they pull a 1 of 1, and then they can parlay that into like a $2,500 painting of, could be their wife for their anniversary. Could be anything. So, their 1 of 1s are hard to pull, man. And the way it works with 1951 is they're available for 1 week only. However many sell during that week, that is how many are printed, and no more. So the base cards are more rare than your average set because it's like a limited time window. So for context, for the first wave, which we're going to give away one of those today, or to one of the listeners, I don't know if we'll give it away today, but I'll give one away. That had about 7,700 printed. And so 7,700 people ordered that. They paid $20 for 13 cards, and everyone gets the exact same 13 cards, which are the base cards. And then, like you said, there's parallels on top of that. So if you get a parallel in your pack, it's an extra, it's a 14th card. And those are numbered anywhere from 1 to 1 all the way up to 1 out of 51. And I did the math. So like, your odds of getting that card vary based on like how many cards end up getting, printed. The more they get printed, the harder it is to find parallels, because that's like a fixed number of cards.
Yep.
And it's spread out among like a different pool. So like, you actually have a pretty good, like, not a bad chance. I think it's like 1 in 6 packs of the 1951 Wave 1, you're going to get an insert. And the inserts are selling for enough to pay for 6 packs on eBay. And even the boxes, like now, those have just arrived, and people are selling the sealed boxes on eBay for like 2-3x what they paid for them last week, which is insane.
How much are they retail wise? Like, if they're going to go purchase from Topps,
$20, and it's for it's like a pack. It's $20, and it's a pack of 13 cards, or 14 if you get an insert.
Yeah, and if you get a 1 of 1, that $20 now becomes $2,500 painting. So, are there certain players that you try and target, by the way, for the 1 of 1s? Like, is that a PC thing, or is that just, are you trying to get the whole 1 of 1 collection for the 2020?
So for me, like, anytime I can get a 1 of 1 card of something that I created, I don't care who the player is, I want it. There's some that I want. The Mark McGwire, which still hasn't surfaced, I would love more than any of the other 1 of 1s. But like, in general, any numbered, like any parallel card of like something I made, it's just like, it's cool. It's like a limited thing that, I helped create. So
no, that's cool as shit. So if you guys are listening, you guys have the 1 of 1 of Mark McGwire. You can get a $3,500 painting for that one, right? No,
actually, okay. No, I have a bounty out on that. And I'll do that on some cards. So for the 1 of 1 Mark McGwire Project 2020, I'm offering people 2 round trip tickets from anywhere in the U.S. to New York, a hotel for a weekend, coming by and spending a day with me in the studio, and we'll paint stuff, and you can keep everything that we paint together, and I will paint you your own painting. It's all of
Holy
that stuff.
shit, that's a massive package.
Yeah, and so I would do like stuff like that last year with my set coming out, and it would get people excited. You know, people would be trying to buy more copies of Mark McGwire because then they have a better chance of getting the 1 of 1 and then getting to like spend a weekend with me painting.
That's cool though. That's like, that's something that you can actually get into as a fan when you know that the, artist is invested. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Evan's over there. He's like, I got to find that card. Make sure you guys go follow Dr. Dynast E. Capital E. Now that's funny. So let's go ahead and let's talk about some of the parallels, because I want to know, like, did you get to decide what the parallels were? And we talk about having a blue back versus a green back, versus a wrapper back. Like, what are the differences with those?
So in the original 1951 cards, there were the parallels. I don't even know if they were parallels at the time. They had red backs and blue backs. Now blue backs are harder to come by and red backs are the common ones. And so it was just kind of a nod to the original set and just having something a little bit nostalgic, similar. I don't know why they, Topps decided to add more colors and more different parallel variations. But to me, like, it's actually a really good thing. The more parallels, the more special stuff that Topps does are just more reasons for people to want to buy the set. And to me, like, I get paid a royalty on every single set that's sold. It's not a lot of money, but it's something, and it adds up, when people are buying packs in mass trying to chase the parallels.
What's up with the gold? Like, is it actually like gold, like, like almost like foil type stuff, or is it, what are we looking at with the gold?
So on the 1951, the golds it's just like a printed gold back. Okay. There's no other difference in the card other than the foil 1 of 1 stamp and then the gold back on it. With the Topps 2020, like the Mark McGwire that I have that bounty on, those cards actually they made a metal gold frame around the card and then encapsulated that in like a extra, like a 180.1 touch. So it's like a thicker 1 touch, and it actually has a physical, like almost like a picture frame around the card, which is really cool. Awesome. Yeah. And I mean, it's fun. Like, Topps is always trying to do different things. Another thing that they did with the 1951 set is they're doing player autographed cards. So like you can get a Mike Trout card signed by Mark Trout. But they sold all of the player autos just a la carte on the website. So people could sign up and buy up to 51 Mike Trout autograph cards for like $500 or something like that. And those also sell out very quick, which is just wild, man. I can't believe that I get to do what I do, and people pay money for it, and it's a fun time.
How involved are you with like the selection process and everything? Because obviously, like we talked about for the 1951, there's 20 different artists that are doing stuff. So like, how involved are you in the decision making for what you guys are, which players you guys are featuring, everything like that?
So for Project 70, they're very flexible, letting the artists do whatever we want, but not whatever we want, but within reason. So we get to choose our own, select our own players, and then we get to select our own images of the players on Getty Images, and we send the Getty Images to Topps. They buy the license, and then we use that to create our cards.
So is it like a draft essentially? Like you get to draft your players, and everybody gets certain.
It should be. No, it's actually they have decided that they're just letting everyone pick 20 players, and so there's going to be some overlap. Like almost all 51 artists are probably going to paint Mike Trout, which is cool. And some of the Ricky Henderson will be popular, Willie Mays, a lot of like the classic guys. But there's also like, because there's so many baseball players, if you look at current and retired players, which is pretty much what our roster was, there's going to be a lot of people that are doing, like, I'm going to do some cards I think that no one else will do. It's also fun. I wish that I had put Russell Wilson on my list, because I probably could have. I did get Deion Sanders, and so I'm very
so the
excited.
Project 70 isn't just – that's not just
play baseball.
That's okay. Okay.
Well, I asked them. I asked them if I could do a Michael Jordan baseball card, and they said no because they don't have the license for that. I also got
nobody has a license to Michael Jordan anywhere. Like
Yeah.
it's almost impossible to
Upper
find.
Deck, yeah, well, for trading cards, he has an exclusive with Upper Deck.
Okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, I tried to get Pete Rose, but the MLB wouldn't allow it. Who else did I try to get? Mickey Mantle, also the Panini. I don't know who has a license for that. Panini, maybe. Topps doesn't have the license for Mickey Mantle. But those were a couple that I wish I could have gotten. But like almost everyone else, like it's available. You can pay whoever you want. Current, past.
Could you do like Kyler Murray if you decided to? Because he was drafted, but he hasn't actually played.
It would just depend if the MLB. So first, things have to get approved by Topps, and Topps is pretty flexible. Like they'll approve almost everything, and then they'll submit it to the MLB, and the MLB is a second wave of like gatekeeper. So I think that Topps would probably let me do it because Topps knows that like a Kyler card would sell really well.
Dude, it would crush it, smash it because you get two different markets.
Yeah, it would do very well. But I don't know if the MLB would allow it. I don't know. Maybe they would.
I mean, he's technically, he got drafted. Like he went through the whole process, right?
Yeah,
So,
you don't have to convince me. Yeah, I agree.
and I'm wondering, there's one of them. I think it's Kyler Murray. Actually, somebody got put in their contract that they weren't allowed to play basketball or baseball. So I'm curious who that was. I don't remember. Yeah, because they didn't want him because it was like an off-season, training thing, and they didn't want him to get hurt in the off-season training with the baseball team. So there was one player that actually had that restricted.
Like Madison Bumgarner, right? Like broke his wrist like dirt biking.
Yeah, there's different injuries that happen all the time throughout, the off-season. I mean, look at Jason Pierre-Paul, right, who was just in the Super Bowl yesterday, blew off his hand with fireworks. So
really?
No. Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
No. This was back 4 or 5 years ago. He blew off his hand. He only has 3 fingers.
Wow.
It was a 4th of July accident.
Wow.
He couldn't play for and he played in the Super Bowl. But he was still with the Giants at the time.
I thought you meant like he played in the Super Bowl and then afterwards, like blew his hand off.
He blew off his other hand. Oh, that would be so messed up if he was messing with fireworks for a second time and blew off his hand. But no, it's sit there and it's cool to actually like have these cross promotions. I'm kind of curious if the MLB and the NFL could ever, go in together and agree to have a dual, promo type pack come out, because that'd be pretty badass in my opinion.
Yeah, it would be awesome. I think from a logistics standpoint, it's tough because Topps has the exclusive license with the MLB, and then Panini has exclusive with NBA. Or maybe their deal is not exclusive. I don't know. It's just like there's a lot of parties involved, and it's complicated. But that would be rad.
Yeah, would be absolutely. So, are you going to do Chipper Jones, or is anybody going to do Chipper Jones?
I actually have seen Chipper mentioned a few times on forums. I don't know. Like I'm close with a few artists, and we've like swapped our lists. But and surprisingly, there's not very much overlap. Really? Which is kind of fun. We all remember different. We know we're from different places and grew up at different times, and so to us, like our iconic baseball players are very different. Yeah. So it's gonna be really cool. Like I want to see who Snoop Dogg picks. He might just do all Dodgers.
Wait, is Snoop actually gonna draw like the?
I don't know.
Oh God, that's crazy. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm stoked. All right, man. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get you out of here. Before I do, I want to give one more shout out to our show sponsor. We have Loaders_the. It's the Top Loaders over there. You guys can go find them at thetoploaders.com. We actually have a break tonight at 9:30. That's right, a break tonight at 9:30. And what we do is you go and you buy a team for like $10. And you literally you get that team, and they unload probably close to 100 packs or so, and you get whatever player that you end up owning from that team. So they all get sent to you. Like I said, I've got this Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, dual auto jersey. So I mean that was one of the coolest ones I picked. That's out of 15. Very excited about that. I also won a out of 5 one for a dual auto jersey with Colin Johnson, Devin Duvernay. That was awesome because I am the Colin Johnson fan. So yeah, it's been a cool process, dealing with them, and they're one of my favorite go-tos for card breaks in the entire industry. Once again, that's thetoploaders.com. You guys can find them at loaders_the. Where can we find your work, Blake? Like where can we find all your art? Where can we find, your cards? Like, what are you doing over there? You want to plug your YouTube channel? Anything you want to talk about? This is your time.
Great. Website, blake.art. That's where I sell original art, prints, collabs, baseball card, my signed cards. If you want to buy my cards retail, just tops.com. And if you want to chat, Twitter at Blake Jameson is probably the easiest. I try to respond to everyone. And if you want to see me paint live or open mail live or do all kinds of things on YouTube live, that's YouTube/Blake Jameson.
Dude, absolutely love it, man. And, I'll probably join in as well. So I'm learning something new with you every second that we've been talking. So I'm very, very excited.
Awesome.
It's something as where we're grateful for having you on, and we will be selecting somebody to be giving away this pack too. Is it a box, you said?
Yeah, so it'll be the wave 1 of my 1951 cards. So it's 13 cards. We've got Mike Trout in there, Cal Ripken, Willie Mays, Babe Ruth.
That's cool.
So it's a solid setup. So yeah, you figure it out. You want to pick a winner. Happy to ship it out wherever you want.
Dude, absolutely love it. We're going to do something with that. Make sure you guys go subscribe to the YouTube channel, because that's probably how we're going to end up giving this away. We also have giveaways from Dynasty Nerds. We have giveaways from Dynasty Trade Calculator. We have giveaways just coming all over the place. We're going to be giving away t-shirts for YouTube. So go subscribe on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/fantasy intervention. Let's make this happen. Listen, I appreciate you guys for coming in. Blake, once again, thank you for joining us, man. It's been amazing.
For sure.
And thank you guys for letting us intervene with your fantasy football life.